Witness me.
Ripping from the earth, the howling demons of war cut a swathe of destruction through the swampland home of the Saurians. Alerted by the smoke in the distance, Krutak, the Saurian veteran, gathers what warriors he can to oppose the oncoming forces of war. The defending forces of the Saurians are led by Krutak, the Saurian veteran. He's joined by 2 units of 3 Saurian warriors, a gator, and a unit of geckos with blowpipes. The incursion of demons of war are led by Zugthrul, the Shadow of Ruin, a champion of war. He is joined by 3 blood warriors with great weapons, a war fury with an arm blade, and 3 bloodhounds, one of which wears a spiked collar. The board is set. The goal will be to control the objectives along the centre line. Whomsoever controls the most at the end of the game will be declared the victor. 1 objective is in the clearing, 1 on the hill, and 1 in the swamp. The Saurians are deployed first, defending their crude huts on the edge of the swamp, and the Demons of War are deployed second, due to the Demon rule allowing them to deploy as either scouts or ambushers. Zugthrul, the Blood Warriors, and the Bloodhound with the spiked collar are deployed opposite the clearing and hill objectives. The War Fury is deployed in the swamp, and 2 further Bloodhounds are left in reserve to deploy later on using the ambush rule. Before the first turn begins, the Demons of War on the board make a free 12-inch move, ignoring terrain, as demons benefiting from the scout rule. This allows them to threaten the objectives from before the first turn. Rolling to see who goes first, black for the Saurians, red for the demons. The Saurians take it with a 2. I hope those rolls are not a sign of what's to come. The geckos leap from the shore, plunging into the murky waters, and puff a hail of poisoned darts towards the fury swooping across the swamp. Its erratic movements are hard to track, however, and while 1 dart seems to be on target, a swift barrel roll allows the demon to spin out of the way. The Bloodhound, able to move 18 inches with a fast rule, bounds across the field like an arrow loosed from a warbow. It lands among the Saurian warriors and lashes out with tooth and claw. 2 attacks are boosted to 3 on the charge because all war demons have the Furious rule, and it causes an automatic hit as its spiked collar gives it the impact rule. 1 of the warriors is knocked from his feet as the hound lands, a whirlwind of snapping jaws and raking claws that lands 2 further strikes. The first warrior rises back to his feet, winded from the impact, but the second warrior's neck snaps with an echoing crack as one of the hound's enormous paws backhands it across the face, and the third warrior is snatched up by massive jaws. The hound shakes the warrior, throwing his body aside like a rag doll. The first Saurian leaps back into the fray, aiming a massive downward chop of his club at the infernal hound. With a solid thud, the bronze-spiked club pierces the thick skull of the hound, and it bursts into a cloud of ashes, banished from this realm. The second group of warriors rushes towards the hill, snarling viciously at the intruders. 1 of the Blood Warriors advances, calling challenges to the assembled Saurians. The remaining Saurian warrior answers. He charges the waiting demon, lashing out with another overhead chop, but the demon counters by beating the attack aside and riposting with a chop of his own. The Saurian barely manages to get his shield up in time and backs off, his arm numb from the blow. The second Blood Warrior moves on the tiring Saurian, swinging out with wide sweeps of his blade. The first is short of the Saurian, and the second is barely turned aside by the lizard's shield, feathers and trinkets scattered by the impact. The Saurian swings back, but the demon is already stepping back, out of reach. Kroot-Tak charges into the fray, primal ferocity personified. Lashing out with spear and razor-tipped shield, instinct takes over, and a whirlwind of claws and blade engulfs the war demon. It's knocked off its feet, and Kroot-Tak rakes the demon with his talons and slams it over again with his shield before it bursts into a cloud of ash, its fury no match for the veterans. Growling in disdain, Kroot-Tak moves on the objective. Eager to join the fray, but forced to hold ground, the fury chafes to be let loose. With no demons within reach, the gator lumbers up the centre of the field. Zug-Thorul judges the moment right to strike and moves on the Saurian warriors before him, axe cleaving the air.
Fall to ruin.
Two of the warriors fall before him, his enchanted blade sundering shield and scale. But so focused on destruction, one of the Saurians strikes around his guard and lands a brutal blow to his calf, causing the demon to roar in frustration as he's forced to stumble back.
I'll rend your soul.
Keen to outdo the champion, the final blood warrior steps forward and delivers a mighty upwards cut of his greatsword, severing the head of the Saurian and bathing the demon in a fountain of arterial spray.
Glory.
As the greatsword drinks the blood upon it, the demon seeks out a new victim. At the end of a messy turn 1, the demons of war control all 3 objectives. 5 Saurians have fallen to 2 demons, so the lizards will have to pick up their game. As turn 2 begins, the ground bursts asunder and 2 bloodhounds emerge from the earth in a cloud of soil and rock. The Saurians take the lead once more, and the gator charges up the hill at the champion Zug-Thorul, swinging his maul in a mighty arc. You don't become a champion of war for nothing though, and Zug-Thorul deflects the strike just enough before lashing out with his axe. The blow lands, and while dampened by the gator's thick hide, the rending nature of the axe bites and lays open the gator's left bicep as it stumbles back, roaring a guttural challenge. The bloodhound among the huts shakes off a cloud of dirt before charging into the geckos in the swamp. It plunges into the brackish water, dragging 2 of the diminutive reptiles to their doom. The third gecko pulls an obsidian knife and in a blind panic slams it into the hound's neck, piercing the thick hide and stunning the creature. Moved by instinct more than conscious thought, the gecko presses his attack, stabbing the hound over and over until it bursts into a sodden mass of ash. The gecko scrambles back towards the shore. Buoyed up on the slaughter of the Saurian warriors, the blood warrior on the hill charges the Saurian veteran, determined to rise to champion.
You're next.
A powerful downward sweep of his greatsword takes Kroot-Tak off guard as the enchanted blade shears through armour and slices open the veteran's chest and thigh. Kroot-Tak roars in pain, an unconscious sidestep, all that prevented him from being cut in 2. He swings out with his shield, the blood warrior leaping back out of the way, before driving forward with his spear in a frenzy. The blade catches the warrior in the jaw, withdraws, and punches through the demon's chest, who explodes in a shower of ash. No champion this day. Given a respite by Kroot-Tak, the lone Saurian warrior leaps at the last remaining blood warrior. His club sweeps out from under his shield, left to right, as he snaps out a kick with his taloned left foot. The blood warrior catches the club with his sword, but the kick knocks his leg out from under him, and he drops to his knees. It's not a deadly blow though, and the demon rises again, his sword leading the way with a rising cut. The Saurian turns the blade with his shield and spins away to create room, his cunning intellect seeking a weakness in the monster before him. The second ambushing hound lopes into the clearing, leaping on Kruttak as he sways, weakening from his wounds. The demon dog's claws swipe wide, but rising up, it chomps down on Kruttak's shoulder with bone-crushing jaws. Kruttak is driven to the ground, heavy bronze plates holding the deadly jaws from closing completely. Slamming his shield into the bloodhound's side until the straps break and it flies from his arm, he creates enough room to scramble painfully back to his feet. The fury in the swamp advances on the last gecko, leathery wings propelling it over the sucking mud. Revelling in the challenge of combat, the Blood Warrior engages the Saurian warrior once more. Both warriors are starting to slow, and neither manages to strike the other before the demon backs off. Zugthorul, the Shadow of Ruin, champion of war, will not let the Gator's challenge go unanswered. He leads with a flurry of strikes, but fatigued from the earlier action, all of his swings are wide. Dodging back, the Gator unleashes a thunderous blow. Glancing off the demon's pauldron, the heavy maul drives into the side of the champion's skull, bowling Zugthorul from his feet and leaving him stunned upon the ground. The end of turn 2 has seen a shifting of the tide. The Saurians are proving tenacious, and with half their units destroyed, the morale of the demons has broken. The Blood Warrior and Zugthorul manage to maintain their connection to this plane, but the Bloodhound and War Fury burst into ash and are banished from this realm as the laws of nature begin to overcome the presence of the extraplanar creatures. Things suddenly look very bad for the demons of war. They still control 2 of the objectives, but the Saurian Gator has claimed the hill objective as Zugthorul lays on the ground, Tweety birds spinning around his head. The Saurians act first once more, and with a final hammering blow, the Gator finishes Zugthorul, banishing him in a burst of ash, staining the ground a dead grey. The final demon remaining is the Blood Warrior, and seeking an opportunity to rise before inevitably being returned to the lower planes, he charges Kruttak, greatsword a blur in his hands.
Witness me.
A horizontal swing is stopped dead as a clawed hand closes around the crossguard. And with a growl, Kruttak slams his spiked helmet into the demon's face, knocking it from its feet. Barely remaining upright, Kruttak limps forward, and using both hands, drives his spear into the ground, through the prostrate demon, banishing the final foe, and saving his village from further ravages of war. Well, that turned quickly. The Saurians' ability to roll 6s when they needed them was clutch. And the demons' lack of staying power meant that they disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. Having each model as an individual unit certainly hurts them. They only had to lose 4 models before they were broken, whereas the Saurians only actually lost 1 unit that entire game, despite losing 7 models. So it just goes to show you how handy those 3 model units are. Kruttak was an absolute unit this game, and that Gator's lucky strike really drove home a nail in the coffin for the demons. It was a quick game with the demons on the field, but they did start combat in earnest on turn 1, so everything happens a little bit faster. Let me know what you thought of the battle down below. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much to those of you who continue to support me on Patreon. It is very much appreciated. Anyway, we will see you next time. Cheers!